Welcome to our special Unlocked Year in Review episode. We're going to talk about the entire 2017 for Xbox, the hardware, the software, everything that happened in calendar year 2017. I'm Ryan McCaffrey, and I want to introduce the panel. You know Destin Legary. We've got the great Brendan Tyrell.
Hello.
Off the Unlocked bench, the very deep Unlocked bench, and Marty Sleva.
Hello.
Over on the far side.
We did it. We completed the year, and none of us died.
I watched you pet a dog today, and you're still here.
Still a few
I
days
did,
left to go.
and I broke out in hives, but it was great because Peppers is
Worth
wonderful.
it?
Worth it.
Worth it. Mm-hmm. I felt bad when Daisy was here semi-recently, and I was sitting with her right behind you in a meeting.
Oh yeah,
you looked physically uncomfortable.
that's just my brand.
All right, guys. So 2017 has come to a close. It's been a very interesting year for Microsoft because it's some big stuff on the hardware side, some, I don't know if controversial stuff on the software side is the right way to put it, but they've had a very unique year. So I thought maybe chronologically would be kind of the best way to look back at everything, and we'll just start there. So as usual, Microsoft was pretty quiet on the software side in the first half of the year. You know, that looks to change in 2018. We're going to talk more about that at the end when we look ahead to 2018. But yeah, you know, historically this generation, they haven't really put out a lot of major stuff in Q1, but we did get Halo Wars 2 in February, which
we all like that game.
Yeah, Destin, I want to because a lot of people probably go, wait a second. Oh yeah, that was totally. Give us a refresher on what you thought of Halo Wars 2 and
So Halo Wars 2 is like the sequel to the fan favorite RTS from Ensemble Studios.
2009, if memory
back in
serves
the
correctly.
day,
Yes.
back in the day, yeah, and you just kind of control your troops, mess around. I don't remember too much of the plot, but like that you were rewarded with these fantastic cinematics.
Yeah, the Blur Studio.
Blur Studio cinematics, and it was a fun game. Yeah.
I know I spent a bunch of. I finished it. I didn't review it, but yeah, it didn't quite capture the sort of, I guess, new spirit that the first one had.
Yeah.
Even though the irony was Halo started as an RTS, so to call it new spirit is a little sort of disingenuous in a way.
I think the reason so many people gloss over it, and then even like when this was on the list, I was like, oh, I forgot this came out this year, was because Q1 was such a historically incredible quarter for games. Just when you look at people's Game of the Year stuff, a lot of them are coming from that quarter.
Both multi-platform and Sony and Nintendo as well.
You had Resident Evil, but then you also had Horizon and Zelda. So it was just an incredible, just overall start to the year. So that's why I feel like Halo Wars. It's one of those things where in 2017. Good games got overshadowed by phenomenal games.
That's true.
Which kind of sucks.
And I guess to clarify, too, we're not going to talk about really a lot of multi-platform stuff on this because it's the Xbox year in review. And, the multi-platform stuff is just gaming in 2017, not Xbox specific necessarily. But yeah, it's interesting, Marty, you bring up it's the Neos, the Personas, the Zeldas, the Horizons of Q1, but
it's unique that just this year, like being great just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, but you still had, it's not like you had nothing to play if you were an Xbox gamer. For Honor was big.
God, that was this year?
Yeah. You reviewed it. You've covered that game. You've played a ton of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's still going strong. But again, like it is a great fighting game when you get into the minutia of it, bogged down by some networking stuff and some griefing and whatnot, balance stuff. But when you look at it, like that's the fighting game I always wanted as a kid, like being able to actually size up, go one-to-one with people. But again, like it was going up against Zelda and Horizon, and it just wasn't enough. But hopefully, like when we get into this slow period now, people start going back and playing some stuff that they didn't get.
Also, I doubt it's coming through on mic, but I'm like grinning right now because your leather jacket squeaking. It sounds like you're in the bat suit. Like
should we take this bad boy off? Here we go.
Whatever you want.
Here we go. For everyone at home.
For our audio listeners, he's taking off his cowl. That's right. The cape's coming off.
All right.
His voice is suddenly unmodulated. It just
was that ASMR?
It's fine now.
We did it. Yeah.
But then Ghost Recon Wildlands was the top-selling game of the year for a while. That was plenty popular on Xbox.
The Predator.
But Halo Wars 2. What was really notable about Halo Wars 2, besides it's a good game, as Marty said, you just got overshadowed by a lot of the great games. But what's great about Halo Wars 2 to me is that it came out at all.
Yeah.
Because this is, Halo Wars 1 didn't set the world on fire. It did well. I remember the original did clear 1 million copies for sure back in the day, but the backstory of the development is, as a lot of you guys I'm sure will remember, and maybe a lot of our listeners will hopefully remember as well, is the developer, Ensemble, who was an historic real-time strategy game developer.
Yeah.
Age of Empires, one of the greatest real-time strategy series that gaming has ever seen. They were acquired by Microsoft, and they were the ones that developed Halo Wars originally. So you had this just all-time great RTS developer making an RTS specifically for Xbox, and Halo Wars turned out great. The control scheme was excellent, and it worked. And so, but they were, this was so crazy. They were shut down, or they were told that they would be shut down before Halo Wars 1 shipped.
Yeah.
Which,
but they cared about it enough to finish it.
Yes, they really did. I actually, back when I worked at OXM, right, one of the developers, I believe it might have been, I wish I can't remember his name now. It's escaping me, but
Ryan
had him in for an interview.
His name was Ryan. No, I don't know.
That's me. That's me, Destin. I know the holidays are here. Try to hold it together for one more show, buddy. But yeah, they really were. They had the professional pride to see that through instead of just been like, well, we're out of jobs anyway, so screw it. We're going to ship buggy garbage.
Yeah.
Like, no, it was a great game. And yeah, the fact that it's been, I guess, 8 years between Halo Wars 1 and Halo Wars 2, and this was now picked up by, now I'm blanking.
Creative, right?
Assembly. Creative Assembly. There's too many. Who's the other one that I always can thank you? Yes.
California, also abbreviated as CA.
CA, yeah. But yes, Creative Assembly did an excellent job picking up the torch.
Yeah, the thing about Halo Wars that, I played it when it first came out, and Destin and I actually did a lot of preview coverage on this together, and I think you and I went to a couple events for it too, so we played a lot of it coming out ahead of launch. And
we were worried. I remember being worried before launch.
I wasn't 100% convinced on it, but the one thing they did get right, that it was kind of obvious right from the get-go, is Halo Wars found a way to make RTSs work on a controller that I had never experienced before.
And really has not really been done since.
It's still like the best translation of the precision of a mouse and a keyboard onto a controller, and they brought that over this time as well. So it really is like the best feeling version of it, because there's some real crap out there when it comes to RTSs on consoles. I don't know if you remember the original Xbox era AVP RTS that came out on consoles.
No one wants that.
Yeah,
I even remember
great.
After Halo Wars came out on the 360, that sort of spurred a few more that came out, and I played a few of them. I actually finished Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, which was very good, but didn't run so great on 360, and the control scheme was not nearly as good as Halo Wars is. And then Supreme Commander 2, tried a bit of that, and it was like each shoulder button and trigger would activate like another sub-layer of controls, and it was just this like multi-layered kind of a mess.
It's that point where you have to like have muscle memory, like where you're going, All right, I need to move right, L1, X, R2. Okay, we got it.
And so Halo Wars 2 came out, excellent game, and as a sort of a bookend to that, as it was the first big Xbox release of 2017, it got enhanced with a pretty cool expansion pack around the time the Xbox One X came out, and it runs really well on the X and looks great. And also, to their credit, that it's on PC as well. You can, if you're just a PC, if you're like a RTS diehard who could never be bothered to to pick up an RTS with a gamepad, well, it's there for you on PC as well.
Yeah, and despite what I said about it being on the console, I've played it on both, and I still think PC is the obvious way to play that game if you have the opportunity to do it. But it runs great on the console, looks fine.
So elsewhere in Q1, the other big success for Microsoft was the Xbox One S. It had come out in the summer of 2016 and continued to sell very, very well.
Now it's like $200. It's really reasonable, right?
Yeah.
At least here over the holidays. Yeah, I don't know what the final, if it's going back to a regular price, but I'm sure we're heading into year 5, so it's got to be hitting lower prices on a permanent basis.
Internally, the guts are basically the same, a little bit better, but its big thing is that it does 4K video.
Well, it's so much smaller, internal power supply.
Aesthetics also.
It's it's whisper quiet, which the original also was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great box, great design. Microsoft really hit it out of the park, and gamers responded. It sold very, very well in the early parts of this
forgot
year.
how big the launch Xbox was until literally over the weekend. I'm moving rooms and I found my launch Xbox. I'm like, oh my god, you're such a monstrosity.
Yeah.
you
It's heavy,
large
too.
VHS player.
And I know you're not criticizing.
Oh, no.
You're complimenting the S right now. Like, that's how
well,
good.
the S and the X, like
Yeah.
they just are phenomenal, just from an aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
Swapping out my day one Xbox One for the X was kind of like awesome.
I had the
so
exact
much more
same feeling.
space.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good
Scorpio
stuff.
Edition represent.
All right, so really, again, not a lot in Xbox land from a first party perspective.
The year did kick off with the Scalebound cancellation. That
I was
that
wondering,
I
January.
think
when
I
did that
blocked
take
that out.
place?
I didn't even have it in my notes.
I think that was January. So that was like, not only was that just like a really crappy thing for Xbox, but just for anyone looking forward to a platinum game.
next
platinum. Yeah.
And it just being like, oh no, like I feel like we came back from Christmas break and then all of a sudden it was like, all right, we're ready to start the year.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, that's
Like
not great.
if you had been waiting 2 years for Scalebound and then it got canceled,
Yeah.
then you waited a year for the announcement of Bayonetta 3,
Yeah.
and now you got to wait another year before you can even play it.
Yeah, good memory, Marty.
January?
January 9th.
Yeah. I remember that was one of the biggest, the first big news stories of the year.
Yeah, I hope that's afforded Microsoft more opportunities to create other exclusives or whatever their reason was for canceling it.
Yeah.
I just hope we get other cool games because that was like in their lineup, and it was a bummer to lose that as a console exclusive.
It was, unless, I mean, as Microsoft said, like, what if that game was going to turn out to be
Bad.
a 6th Destin? Are you still sad that it got? I mean, we don't want to see people lose jobs or anything
right.
like that. But from a gamer's perspective, if it was going to be a 6, is it really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they canceled it. You know, so like, I mean, you could guess that it was going to be a disaster.
There were a lot of rumors about, what was it? Was it costing too much money or taking? Who knows? Yeah, we never got the real story on it.
Regardless,
I want that tell-all.
I just hope
Jason
something
Schreier, get us that
positive
tell-all.
comes out of it.
He would be the guy. He would be the person. All right. So then, like I said, it's pretty quiet on the sort of Xbox exclusive first party front until E3. And I thought Xbox they had their best E3 maybe yet of this generation. I thought it was a wonderful E3 this year. Let's go through some of it. So Project Scorpio, which had been very clearly teased as the capper to their E3 2016 press conference, they kicked it off by unveiling it as the Xbox One X.
Without the name didn't leak.
No.
I feel like
No.
a lot of people like
There were
even
guesses.
Keeley tweeted out, "This is what the name of the thing is," and it was wrong, like right before the conference. So yeah,
Oh, that's right.
it was
I
something.
wonder if Microsoft just purposely puts out
Sent a
red
couple-
herrings.
Yeah.
totally.
Because they
totally.
did that, or we think they did that with the Xbox One.
Yeah.
I wonder if he checked with Microsoft first. They're like, yeah, do whatever you want. And then he was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, the X became the official name of the product, and the specs were touted again. A lot of the games were shown running on the X during their E3 presentation, and then towards the end they snuck in it's $4.99. But that over time, we'll sort of talk more about this when we're talking about Q3 next. At the time, some people, myself included, were like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. $4.99 is going to be like, is it going to be $100 better than the alternative? I think in time it very much proved that worth. But so the X, $4.99, and we saw a ton of games. So we saw and played a new demo of Sea of Thieves, which we've devoted so much airtime to, and for as far as I'm concerned, I can't devote enough airtime to how much I love that game.
The E3 Sea of Thieves demo sold me on the game because we had played it the year before, and then you and I played it this year.
Yes, year.
It's all bleeding together. You and I played it this year, and I remember we just could not stop smiling during the whole thing.
And just their E3 presentation, the stage demo alone was this really wonderfully narrated tour sort of the game and sort of some of the features, which was done very, sort of in character, in the spirit of the game, while still very much educating you about the game.
Yeah,
And then
showcase more systems and mechanics
Yeah.
and stuff like the underworld, or like the place you go when you die in the game, hinting at some mythical sea beasts.
yeah, we're watching some. I'm sure this is
that
our
map
own
footage.
gameplay.
Thank you. Oh, that map looks so good.
Thanks.
All right,
Dustin,
sorry,
for
put it
holding
in.
that map up.
Settle down.
And the thing, I know we harp on it all the time, and every time we talk about Sea of Thieves, it's that phrase, you can't really know what it's about or know how fun it is until you get your hands on it. And I know it sucks to like hear that, but honestly, like when I'm standing on the bow of the ship looking out and you're like, no, you have to turn right now, or I told you have to turn
Hard
left.
to starboard.
Hard to starboard, or you're gonna hit a
Brandon.
rock. Yeah, it's like moments like that where you literally just go turn that really sell that game for me. And I honestly can't wait to put the crew together at IGN. Like I'm sure there are gonna be multiple crews, and we'll all take each other down.
Well, we'll be starting a group for it. We'll start a whole unlocked thing so that
An armada, if you will.
Oh, nautical term.
I think that's a nautical term.
So Sea of Thieves look great. Crackdown 3, one of the more definitely I think it's fair to call it a mixed reception.
Yeah.
at
Terry Crews
E3.
is cool.
Terry Crews he's always cool.
I was sad when
That
it was
guy
canceled.
wakes up cool.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
Delayed, not canceled. I was sad when it was delayed. Yeah, I got to play it at E3. It was fun. It felt like Crackdown 1.
Which is good.
Yeah,
That's
which is-
it's not like Crackdown 2. It felt like
Yeah.
Crackdown 1.
Yeah, it did.
The flip side of that is it also kind of looked like Crackdown 1.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that this additional time allows them to refine and improve.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to be a little bit more positive
Sure.
about like why these things are happening.
Or there's
And-
always a reason.
Yeah, so like, you know, I was talking to those guys. They're really excited about Crackdown. They're happy to be working on it again.
Yeah.
So I hope they make a better game, and I'll still play it when it comes out regardless.
Yeah,
I like Crackdown a lot.
From what we saw, I'm totally
Yeah.
down to give them the benefit of the doubt, but let's see what it looks like next year.
Even if it's Crackdown 1, I still love putting a bunch of cars together and blowing them up. Like they have the black hole gun or something now. Like you shoot, it sucks everything in, then boom. It's really fun.
I think Crackdown 3 was definitely, like a lot of games this generation, a victim of being revealed too early with promises a little too grand.
Which we've seen Phil Spencer respond directly to by publicly saying, hey, we don't want to go out there and announce games too early when they, we want to show them closer to when they're ready to go.
I think everyone sort of realizes that you get a pushback from fans. Like fans, well, of course, everyone wants to know what's on the horizon, but if the horizon is 3 years away, you can pump the brakes a little bit.
I do also think that Crackdown has suffered a bit as far as public perception, which isn't even Microsoft's fault per se, or even certainly not the game's fault, but the fact that it was pegged to release on the same day as the Xbox One X, it was never touted as this is the showcase title for the Xbox One X. Not once that I can possibly recall. But by
I think
virtue of
association.
I mean, it is fair to kind of make that association a bit, and I don't think that did the game any favors, particularly after it visually was not all there yet at E3.
We'll talk about it a little bit more later, but I think a lot of people associate PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds with the X launch. Like that was the first game that a lot of gamers were looking forward to get on that console.
Yeah, it was just such a weird with PUBG and Crackdown. Those are such. They're so at odds with the mission statement of the X.
Yeah.
The most powerful console ever.
Yeah, because like you see that in like when they, Microsoft had Assassin's Creed Origins on stage and they showed Metro, and these are games where I'm like, oh my God, these look like this is like pushing this console, this generation to the limit.
Right.
And so to then pair it with Crackdown and PUBG, you're like, well, these aren't doing what those games are doing.
Yeah.
Regardless of gameplay.
Yeah.
Gameplay to me is king, but just visually they're not doing the same.
So Crackdown delayed, which we'll talk more. Well, I guess we're talking about it now. It was Q3. I guess if I recall, it was shortly before Gamescom, I think, or right at.
So next
right
year.
before. It was right before Gamescom.
Right, yeah.
They delayed that, but strong E3 continued. Beautiful introduction to a sequel we all wanted, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, complete with a pianist who came out and played a beautiful score that I'm sure we'll be hearing in the game. I feel like not enough people are talking about this game yet. I mean, there hasn't. We haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Since
it's just
E3,
been
but
that one drop.
If you're watching the video version, you're seeing it on screen now. But my goodness, I love Ori so much. You make it past that water tower and you are good to go. That's the moment of truth right there. But yeah, Ori, I feel like it was a hit. It did well for the Xbox One at a time early in the life cycle when it sort of needed an original hit. I really hope that a lot more eyes are going to be on it when Will of the Wisps comes out.
I mean, with the reception from the first one, Ori is now going to be a Microsoft franchise that people are excited about.
I love the art style that we've seen from a lot of Xbox games lately.
So
we got
gorgeous.
we got Cuphead. The original Ori, of course. There's one I'm blanking on, but I mean, it's just look
Sea
at
of
it.
Thieves'
It looks
art
awesome.
style is beautiful
Yeah,
as well.
they're not afraid to like try something new, and this looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah, this is Moon Studios, the developers of the first game. Fun fact, I don't know if this is still true, but this was true for the first game. They are a decentralized development.
They don't have an office.
They don't have an office. They all work separately from around the
They
world.
have a 24-hour dev cycle, just
Yeah.
like Ubisoft, but with 1/1,000,000th of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That trailer is my application to let IGN let me work from home. No, look what they can do. Look what they can do.
So,
Imagine
Ori,
how much work I get done.
We just have to put a monitor right there.
Yeah.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps was definitely one of the highlights of Microsoft's E3 conference.
Have they said 2018?
I thought it
Or is
said...
it just an assumption?
Boy, now you're making me look like a real bad host.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to remember because, like, we'll talk about the other games, but Sea of Thieves obviously is 2018 and then State of Decay. But I can't recall if they straight up said 2018.
Let's
I don't remember either.
I'd be willing to bet that it comes out by next fall.
Yeah.
Well, I'm showing TBA, so maybe I'm assuming it's 20.
No, I think that's a very safe assumption.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that. But also, Forza Motorsport 7 was probably, I think that was the first Xbox One X game shown after they officially revealed the console at the beginning of the press briefing. This was to be expected, and
what can you say?
It's the best looking car game that's ever been made.
I love
And
playing
bar
that
none.
game and smashing into Per Schneider every chance I get. I always try and spin his car out.
Drivatar?
Yeah, his Drivatar.
Yeah.
I do clips and then I tweet at him. Like, yeah.
No, you can fire you.
Hey,
You can work from home permanently.
Without a paycheck.
Yeah.
And not for IGN.
no. he's-
Real decentralized now.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about the Forza footage, if you're watching the video version, you can see it now, is no matter what you've seen from Forza on the internet, whether it be YouTube or whatever, it doesn't look as good as it looks on an HDR native
On a
TV.
4K HDR television.
During the review, I was playing Forza and I was like, "Wow, this is stunning."
The review of the console.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Luke Riley, our ace driving
Our
game
ace
guy,
driving
did the
reviewer.
game review. You did the console review.
Yeah. So when I was reviewing the One X, I was using Forza as one of the test games, and I was like, "Wow, this is just stunning." And then I went home for the weekend and came back and found out that the 4K HDR patch had been deployed over the weekend, and I downloaded it, and I was like, "Oh, this is stunning."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and of course, as usual, Forza Motorsport 7 has the gameplay to match those visuals. And then when the game came out in the very beginning of October, it had at least what I perceive to be the problem that Forza always has, which is it's too damn good. Everyone just expects that it's going to be great, and so you don't see a lot of sort of hype for it in the community. But it comes out, it sells well, it reviews great. Got another 9 from us this year. So yeah, looked great at E3. Also, Destin, I think this was your vote for Game of the Show.
Yes. And it
Anthem.
should have been everybody's.
This was teased at EA's conference the day prior to Microsoft's E3 press briefing, but then
Lead writer, Drew Karpyshyn, Casey Hudson's back. They got the dream team back in
Wind 'em up
Edmonton,
and let 'em go. Here we
basically.
go.
Man, Anthem, I am so excited about, and that demo that they showed at E3, I think
Microsoft's
that
press
blew people away. Any Destiny fans, they're like, I am watching Anthem because it looks like it's finally going to give Destiny the competition that it desperately needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the idea of BioWare doing a Destiny-like game, I just feel like it's just made for you.
Right? I'm like, oh, there's my next addiction. You know?
Well, talk to me more, Destin, about the demo and what impressed you about it.
Yeah, so you start out, you're walking through a town, and you get kind of an idea of what the narrative aspects of the game are going to be like, and then you actually hop into your suit. I can't remember the name of the suits. Does anybody? Javelins?
Iron
maybe?
Man.
Yeah, basically you hop into your Iron Man suit,
Mark
and
V.
then you walk out and you see this whole world, and he just jumps off and starts flying anywhere he wants to go, he and she. And then at one point, they're just flying and they go underwater. So like there's this whole other area that you're going to get to explore, and you like get points for even just going there and you know, looking at things. And then the combat looks phenomenal. They show the drops and they tease what's either a strike-like event or a raid. Man, I'm just so hyped. It was running at 4K. It was checkerboarded, but still looks absolutely phenomenal. And like that was a demo running way before release, so it's going to be interesting to see how much better they're able to make it look. Hopefully, they make it look better.
Was this your BCD or was this the actual trailer?
This was just the trailer aired on stage. I don't think anybody from BioWare was there.
Yeah,
I didn't remember there being a behind closed doors.
Stage presentation was the only thing.
BioWare guys were there, but they weren't like doing interviews.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying for like, obviously we're talking about Microsoft, but EA sort of had a crummy 2017 between Mass Effect.
We talked about that last week.
Andromeda was a bummer.
Battlefront's reception, but I feel like Anthem
visceral closing.
Yeah, I feel like Anthem is just clearly a high point for them in the year because everyone left E3 talking like, oh, well, that's the game I want to see more of in 2018.
And all the comments I see on the Star Wars stuff is like, good thing this happened before Anthem because they can learn how to like do their loot box strategy if they're going to make it be an Anthem in a better way that's better for the consumer.
That's 100%. Like if this is targeting Destiny as the competition to it, it is totally a games as a service now moving forward. And that is so much more vital. Sorry, when I say that, I mean like loot boxes and stuff to keep you constantly going the way the Destiny's tapped into
Consistent world.
Yeah, that's so much more of a vital component to a games as service game versus something like Star Wars, which, you know, was just a progression system.
It's so weird. It's just like cosmetic items only. Like, it's not hard. Don't put any game-breaking stuff in your loot boxes.
Like the way Halo does it.
Yeah.
It's Halo 5.
Yeah. The rec packs.
It's been doing it.
People are fine with that. And they often do charity drives where like if you buy rec packs, it goes to charity. So like good comes out of it too.
Yeah, and you touched on it for a second there, Destin. But yeah, this is the Mass Effect trilogy team at BioWare Edmonton. This is not, you know, Andromeda was Montreal, who has since been folded. Yeah, this is what Casey Hudson drew this up and then left, and then they kept working on it. And then he came back. Now he's the studio head. And this has been in the works for a long, long time. And this is arguably their A team.
Yeah, Casey Hudson actually on the original Mass Effect, he actually drew some of the characters that ended up being staples. Like I think he did the original sketch for the Geth, off the top of my head. So like one of the main antagonists of the original Mass Effect was created on a napkin by Casey Hudson. So he really, really cares. And like just the way that they collaborate based on the behind the scenes stuff that I've watched and all the documentaries for Mass Effect, it's just, I'm really excited that team is back.
Yeah, and not to be forgotten, the E3 stage show for Microsoft, State of Decay 2, which I know, Brandon, you and I, that's near and dear to our hearts.
That's our anthems.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it didn't get a ton of, I feel like it didn't get a ton of hype during and after the show, but I was really impressed by the game. I not only saw what everybody saw on stage, but I got to see it behind closed doors as well. With Jeff Strain and the team at Undead Labs, and it's doing what it should do as a sequel to a sort of up and coming indie hit game, which is go bigger, go better, go prettier. So you know the original game, the developers themselves acknowledge it's rough around the edges from a technical perspective. It was running on CryEngine, which is not to knock CryEngine, but they have now moved to Unreal Engine 4. They have a much bigger budget. It's a full, you know, AAA budgeted game that's being, you know, funded by Microsoft. It's a first-party exclusive. It is, I think, you know, their dev team is bigger. They know what works from the first game. You know, it's giving the 4-player co-op that the original, you know, that they talked about always wanting to do, but as a small startup team couldn't do with the first game. And so I really could not be more excited about this game. And it's really because, to me, Brandon, there's nothing else, there's nothing else, even 4 years later, still nothing else like this game. It is secretly a role-playing game when you start playing it.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I fell in love with about this team, Undead Labs. And I mean, Jeff Strain's pitch on it, when I read all the dev docs and all of their...
Dev dogs?
Yeah, dev dogs. When I read all their development documents about like what their vision was for the game, it was like, hey, imagine you're sitting at a bar just having a beer with your friends and you're all deciding like, what would you do in a zombie apocalypse? And this is the game. And from that day one, I was just totally sold. And following it through all of its development, it is so much deeper than it looks. It looks like a pretty indie game, but the things that you can do and the amount of like variety and team building and choice and consequence that go in it, like the no easy decision stuff, I was just so blown away. Yeah. I've loved it since I first played it, and I cannot wait for State of Decay.
Yeah, and this was one, I don't know if it was ever officially delayed. But this is now.
I don't remember.
It is one of the games that'll be on the 2018 list that we'll talk about.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay in blackout right now, and like just watching the footage for the second time this year.
Getting you psyched.
That scene.
Yeah. And then not to be left out, Marty, this is I think a key component of what helped make E3 so great for Microsoft is I think it's fair to say that the early 2-3 years of this console generation, Sony was so aggressive getting a lot of wonderful indie titles on the PS4, and that they really seem to kind of have the mind share in that category. But I know you and I have talked about this off air. I really feel like Microsoft has snatched that back, and this E3, highlighted by The Last Night, was a game that I think sort of universally blew all of us away. I don't know if we have the footage for it queued or not, but a lot of the great games that are, by the way, launching on Xbox first. The whole, console launch exclusive, that's a bit of a silly thing unto itself, but you will be able to play the likes of The Last Night and a lot of other cool things first on the Xbox.
Yeah, and we even had stuff that came out this year, like Tacoma, which is still just on Xbox and PC. And then, Last Night, Annapurna showed a couple other games, including Ashen, which is sort of like a Dark Souls-y indie game. But yeah, Microsoft, it definitely feels like that pendulum swinging back, and they're going back to being the sort of choice makers that they were in the 360 generation with Xbox Live Arcade. And I know we keep saying how we want to bring that sort of branding back, the summer of arcade.
I do. I wrote a whole silly thing about it.
No, and I completely agree with you. And then, they've done a good job, especially in the last couple of years. And then with stuff like we know Below is coming back. And that was a game featured, I think, literally at the first Xbox One E3.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like, still, I played it a couple weeks ago. Like, it is 100% still real. And then, we'll get into Cuphead and everything, which had a long incubation there. But I think Microsoft is wisely pairing its big AAA, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, Gears, Halo stuff alongside these, smaller, more niche, but no less impressive games.
I can't wait to try this one out. It reminds me of Out of This World meets Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, exactly. And that's why we all fell in love with it. In fact, one of the most liked videos we've posted this year, at least as far as the like to dislike ratio, we got this cool little exclusive, that the Tim Saray and the Odd Tales team made. We can take no credit for it whatsoever, other than politely asking them for something new to give to our audience on the game. Yeah, they made a kind of, basically it was a behind the scenes on how they made that trailer that we just saw if you were watching the video version, and sort of, which also weaves in the origins of the game itself. And it's like 11 minutes long, but it's totally fascinating, and it's one of the most, I think, one of the coolest videos that we got to host.
Yeah, I feel like geeking out and sort of looking at how the sausage is made. That's just an excellent look at how that really gorgeous trailer came together.
Yeah. So E3 was fantastic for Microsoft. And then the exclamation point, I can't forget this. Phil comes out and gives us original Xbox backwards compatibility, which may only matter to crusty old grizzled idiots like me, but man, it made me happy. And here we go. Now as we close out the year, I can play Crimson Skies and a bunch of other cool, Ninja Gaiden Black, a bunch of other cool just games that I still have and still love on the Xbox One.
So CJ and Mitch are really good at Ninja Gaiden Black and Ninja Gaiden, and they're actually doing a Let's Play series on IGN right now that you can watch.
That'll be better than the one you and I did.
Yeah, we did 3 episodes, didn't we? Was it 3?
We got canceled after 3 episodes.
That's fair.
They've gotten pretty far. I don't think they've died yet. They're doing pretty well. So
Well, CJ used to do.
Literally was a borderline.
He was top 100.
Borderline professional.
Yeah.
Top 100
it's fun
in the
to watch.
world. Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's I was kindly invited up by Microsoft to do a profile on the compatibility team, which I got to do in October. I believe it was late September, early October, and it's probably one of the favorite things I've been lucky enough to get to do here at IGN this year. And boy, what a just unbelievably passionate team that really they certainly don't personally get credit for doing compatibility. It's something that Nintendo's not doing, Sony's not doing. They are the only ones in the industry, in the console industry, doing this, and it's really a thankless task. Like, it is a pretty anonymous, underappreciated thing. I think we try to give credit whenever we can, but man, they a wonderful group of people that's making games from 15 years ago work on a console of 2017 that has completely different architecture.
Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned that, of the three first parties, Microsoft is clearly the youngest in terms of the console gaming space. Obviously Nintendo is way older and Sony's an entire generation older, but Microsoft's still the one who's sort of cherishing their past the best.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo, literally, I can't buy virtual console games on Switch, which is insane.
Which is horrible.
I can't give you money for these games. And yeah, PlayStation has sort of taken a really scattershot approach, and some things work well, and then other times they release a PS2 game for $20, and what are you doing here? But yeah, I mean, kudos to Microsoft for not only the 360 generation, but now original Xbox. I think that's awesome.
So Q3, again, it's fairly quiet. Crackdown 3 was delayed, which we mentioned a few minutes ago, which I think none of us were mad about. It was just sort of like, well, cool, great, make it better. Go make it better. Take the time. Yeah, I mean, and it has cost Microsoft in the perception department. Like, it weakened their 2017. There's no doubt about that. But if it makes the game better, then that's just going to make for an awesome 2018.
Yeah,
for them.
sets it up for next year.
And then the Xbox One X, there were some people like me that were sort of a little skeptical on the value proposition of the X, and would everybody take advantage of it to the degree that the console was capable of, or would people sort of only match it up to whatever the PS4 Pro can do and stop there? And Microsoft did a great job of answering those questions in Q3 as the run-up to Xbox One X's launch came along. They talked about how the console will just automatically boost games no matter what. Yeah. But they can, of course, and then developers can
with added dev support.
Yep.
Yeah, you can get much more out of that same mile.
And then of course the it's got all sorts of proprietary tech in it, and we got the wasn't the Digital Foundry thing? No, that was before E3, wasn't it?
Yeah, the visit up there, the complete sort of
where they sort of went into the guts of the specs, but yeah, I thought they really did a much better job of sort of clarifying the value proposition of the X in Q3, leading up to its launch in Q4 here, which we'll talk about now, and that was certainly the biggest thing that Microsoft had this quarter was I think compared to not to make it a Sony Microsoft thing, but I think Microsoft really did take a lot of notes from the PS4 Pro's launch from the year prior. And I think it's fair to say, I don't know if you guys would disagree, but I don't think Sony really treated the PS4 Pro's launch like a console launch, whereas I think Microsoft did do that with the Xbox One X and to their benefit.
And that was really intentional too, right? This is the rebranding, this is the coming out party again for Microsoft in this console generation.
Yeah, and it was the fact that Microsoft was focused on it, whereas Sony with the Pro had sort of their other eye on
VR.
And the fact that those two don't necessarily play incredibly well together in certain things is really muddied, whereas Microsoft just sort of had a unified front, all leading towards the X.
Comparatively, Sony's launch just seemed confused, and like the fact that it doesn't have some of the stuff that the X does now, like the Blu-ray player, is just baffling to me. So it's great to see the X come out or Microsoft come out with a fantastic console with the X, and I love playing it at home. It's so easy to just sit down on my couch, and I could play PUBG on my PC, but I could just sit on my couch and be lazy and play it there, or play Assassin's Creed or whatever on my beautiful 4K.
Probably wait for PUBG on the Xbox. You should probably keep playing
the gameplay for a while. Gameplay's still pretty good. If you have an OG Xbox, disable DVR.
Well, you brought it up, so let's talk about that. That's the last thing.
Sorry,
the last big point for Microsoft. We'll cover a couple of other things here in a minute, but yeah, PUBG sort of. Which, by the way, if you are watching this week, if you're watching this prior to January 1st, PUBG is free right now with the purchase of an Xbox One X,
and I think that's also for the Scorpio. I think the Scorpio is considered part of the X.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize
I don't
there were
know.
any left.
I don't know
thought they
for
were all
sure.
sold.
Some Scorpio owners were tweeting at me like, "Oh, I feel kind of burned. Like I want PUBG." I think you should check. I think it counts.
What?
Yeah.
No.
If-
It's
if you
December
buy it.
17th to the 31st.
If you buy it now, not retroactive.
Oh,
yeah, no, sorry.
okay.
You're- Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
start
if you
as of
purchase-
yesterday. It
Right.
started.
If you purchase an X between the 17th of December and the 31st of December,
Okay.
you do get basically you're getting a instead of paying $30 for the game preview version of PUBG,
Yeah.
you are getting that for free, which I think if that had been the Xbox One S, that would be a risky move on Microsoft's part, bundling an unfinished game that they are clearly like, yes, this is unfinished, but I think with the X, you're getting the harder core, knowledgeable crowd that's going to be more receptive. I mean, but I know what you're going to say, and go ahead.
It's so weird that the most powerful console ever made, a $500 console, is bundled with a game that even on PC doesn't. The reason people play that game isn't because it looks pretty or because it runs well. It's because of those dynamic stories that we talked about last week. And like those stories don't need a $500 box to run. So it's just weird to me that you don't, I don't know, pair this with something like Gears, which looks incredible with the 4K patch, or like even
Forza.
Halo 5 or Forza or Cuphead even. Like
Cuphead, we'll talk about that in a minute, has no Xbox One X enhancement.
It doesn't need it.
Exactly right. It doesn't need it.
Perfect just the way you are.
Well, when you buy an X, you do get the game preview bundle. You get like a month.
You get
or so
a
of that.
2 weeks, I think.
2 weeks. So yeah, you can try out a whole
Game
bunch
Pass,
of
you
games.
mean.
Game Pass.
Yeah, so you
which
can try like
PUBG
Halo.
is not a part of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
It's not
you
the
can
same
play
as the
Halo.
preview.
And you can play some of the
Yeah,
most
it's just
popular
I totally get
titles.
that Microsoft like. Yeah, I mean we talked about it ad nauseum last week, but like they're leaning heavily in 2018 on PUBG, so I get that they want it to be in as many people's hands as possible for when the game does stabilize,
Yeah.
and does get the updates. But it just doesn't seem like it seems the antithesis of the Xbox.
But
One
that
statement.
the PUBG was actually should have mentioned it earlier. I mean that was a big get for them at E3. It was like we're gonna have this as a console exclusive, and now it is here, Destin, and you've been covering it extensively. You contributed to our very much review in progress.
Yeah, that's not a
of
final
the Xbox
score.
because the game's not done.
Yeah,
it's an in progress review of an in progress
And
game.
just so listeners have been
It's important to give impressions and help people
Yes.
decide whether they should spend the $30 and spend it now or later.
Exactly. It's about informing purchasing decisions. It's
Yes.
not about scoring a final product. So right now, yes, PUBG does need a lot of work. And I understand why that can be confusing to a lot of our viewers and readers. But it's just about, hey, here's the state of the game right now. There's a lot of problems with it, but I love seeing people tweet at me and they get it. They get why it's exciting, especially when playing on the X.
Yeah.
If you're playing on an original Xbox and you're having trouble, one of the best tips I've heard is to disable game DVR.
Thank you for mentioning that.
That's been very helpful to a lot of players on that platform. But if you're on the X, it's playable. There's some menu system stuff. It's really chuggy in the beginning, but once it stabilizes, you still get that action experience. This one dude sent me
I saw that.
an image of his hand, like literally shaking just from the adrenaline of getting in the top 10. And I'm like, yes, like more
More people
gamers get
can
to
get it.
experience what I've been playing for like a year, and that just makes me so happy.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, PUBG on PC is what, 100 million? Something
It's
like that?
a lot.
Yeah. A lot of people are
20, I think.
yeah, I think it's 20,
Which is a lot.
Yeah,
million.
there are millions and millions of people playing this game on PC, and for people that don't own a PC that can A, run it, or B, just don't have the
game on your
opportunity.
PC.
It's really disappointing to not be able to be part of the 20 million player social experiment that is PUBG right now.
Yeah.
And this gives it, it already passed a million players on Xbox One X or Xbox
Yes.
One.
Right in the first 24 or 48 hours.
Which is crazy. I mean, clearly Microsoft doubled down on it and it paid off. I know it's got a lot more work to do moving forward, but this gives people who wouldn't otherwise have the chance to play it the chance to play it. And there's nothing wrong. It might not be in a super stable state now.
I mean, for me, for me, I am waiting.
Yeah.
I've watched you play it a bunch in the office, and and while I believe everybody that the experience is super fun, that experience will still be super fun when the rest of the game is done. I've got a million other done games that I want to catch up on. So, enjoy it now. And obviously, if you go in there, you know the caveats going in that it's going to be rough around the edges, that it's not a finished game. But yeah, so everybody's going to feel differently about it. There's nobody's putting a gun to your head, forcing you to spend the $30 to play it. I'm going to hang back, but I love hearing the stories of you guys playing it and having an awesome time.
For me, I'll just tell everybody, we gave it a 5 right now. But for me, I'm just like, this game is like one great patch from getting those optimization issues addressed from being like a 7 or an 8. It's just right now, it's just too many problems.
Have they released any information about how updates are going to go between PC and Xbox? Is it going to be like in parity? Or
I'm not sure, but they're working closely with Microsoft to, get it optimized on that platform. And all those people like, when's it coming to PS4? It's not for a long time. They're worried about their first console launch right now. That's what it seems like based on conversations with them. And they're just so happy to be on Xbox. 1 million players on Xbox.
Yeah, I think PUBG and that initial 1 million players overnight really gives Xbox a ton of positive momentum heading into 2018, which again we'll talk about in a second. But let's first talk about the X. We talked about PUBG, but the game that did launch alongside the Xbox One X, again, it wasn't positioned as an X killer app, but was Super Lucky's Tale. Had the misfortune of coming out, even though on a totally different platform, came out the week after Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh boy,
don't do that.
But just on it, unfortunately this one, and not that it's it's not full priced. But it was the only exclusive games, the only first party exclusives for Xbox in Q4. So that's why this game is worth mentioning. You had Cuphead, you had Forza, and you had Super Lucky's Tale. That's it. And then PUBG, which I think we sort of half count because it is in preview. It's not a final release that's fully feature complete yet. So I reviewed Super Lucky's Tale because I wasn't very interested. I wanted it to be good. I really wanted to like this. I had just come off of Mario. The things that I was critical of it for would have still been true even if I hadn't just come off of Super Mario Odyssey. But I'd love to see another shot at this, if the developers were to get another chance to make another Lucky's Tale game for Xbox.
Super Lucky's Tale 64.
I love the art style. I love
Super duper Lucky's Tale.
even though the character is very sort of Conker-esque, sort of it's like if Conker and Tails from Sonic had a baby.
Oh, there it
would
is,
be
the fanfic coming to you.
DeviantArt.com.
It would be him, but
You've just destroyed your inbox.
yeah, this unfortunately sort of came and went. And worse, I think its problems are such that there are significant problems for a kid playing the game because this is a very much an all ages appropriate and kid friendly game, but the camera is a disaster in this game. So I don't want to dwell on the negative. The review's out there, but this was one of Microsoft's first party exclusives for the fall. But the other one, the one that we can again have. So we've spent so much time on, and I could spend 1 million more shows talking about this, is Cuphead.
Yeah.
How astounding is it that Cuphead lived up to 4 years of hype, guys?
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of games can do that.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the last time we had a game like that was like The Last Guardian. And then it came out, and I was like, oh. Up to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Cuphead, honestly, the extra time they took to make the running gun levels and to sort
we're
of
seeing
make it
here
so
now
that
if
it's
you're
not
watching
just
video.
the boss rush.
Yeah.
I think totally paid off, and those levels are just as fun as the actual boss levels.
Well, and I think
the progression system.
they serve an important gameplay function in that, like, Cuphead, as you have all probably heard, it is relentless. It is a very difficult game, and the run and gun levels, while they're not easy, a couple of them are, but they're mostly not easy.
It's kind of a reprieve.
He's not parrying
it
on
is.
the pinks. What's he doing?
It's a palate cleanser. Yeah, who is playing this right
He needs
now?
to parry the pinks.
You need your 3 parries.
Well, it's definitely not Lily, who's the best Cuphead player in the office. I don't know. I feel like
he hasn't been hit yet, though. So there we go. Okay.
yeah.
Phew.
I got the.
Yeah.
Anyway, not everyone can see the video.
Yeah, sorry, that was
Sorry,
a
audio
video
listeners.
exclusive.
That's the problem with this
Sorry, guys,
game.
we have aphasia.
It's right in front of it. You can't not look at this game if it isn't in front of you. But
the gameplay is really good too. Like, just man, I love the challenge of going in. Make sure you get all the coins. Making sure you get all your parries. Not getting hit and getting that score. Like, for me, that was one of my favorite parts.
the frame counts are perfect.
Yeah.
Every mechanically, this game is basically flawless, which for a first-time developer is awesome. I mean, that's not to say that first-time developers aren't good at developing games. Plenty of them are, but for a first-time developer of 14 people from Studio MDHR to have made something that
Just kidding.
precisely perfect is to be commended. And they took home a whole bunch of trophies
Deservedly.
from the Game Awards.
Deserved.
Game of the Year. One of the 10
And
nominees.
yeah, they won our Xbox Game of the Year award as well, which we posted up last week if you happen to see them on IGN. What else did they win? Anything else, Marty? You remember?
I think that this actually posts. Oh yeah. Oh, wait, this is going up next week.
We're live in the future. It's fine.
I believe it won the.
You're good. We're good. Don't worry
It
about it.
won. We split up visuals into 2 categories, and
Yeah.
it won, I think, art direction.
Okay, which is also what it won at the Game Awards.
Totally.
And as I said, best Xbox One game.
Best Xbox One
Straight
game.
took the cake
Yeah,
there.
nominated for Game of the Year, but yeah, awesome game.
Yeah, I mean, and the compliment to how great of that game is how great that story is behind it, the development of it. And I urge anybody, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch Ryan's IGN Unfiltered interview with them. It's really, really interesting stuff. But talking to those guys over the last couple of years and like all the sacrifices that they made to do the game and all the, indecision and first-time developers, they didn't even know what they were doing. Like, this is just such a cool triumph.
Inspiring.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. All the accolades, very, very well earned by Studio MDHR. Just the the hit of 2017.
Also,
for
best
Xbox.
mobile game of 2017.
That's fake. Marty's
Well,
referring
it was
to.
real, but it's just not real.
It's
The app was real.
It's a
Cuphead on
copyright
iOS was
infringement.
released this morning.
Yeah.
You could buy it for $5. It turns out that was not.
Don't
them.
do that. It'll already be gone by the time anybody sees or hears this. But
Yeah. And then your bank information ends up somewhere.
man, all right.
How is the Saudi prince going to get home?
So yeah, as I said, that PUBG and the huge launch there, providing some serious momentum, I think, along with the Xbox One X and the sort of phase out of the original Xbox One and it being replaced by the S and the X. Guys, Xbox is really heading into 2018 with some impressive momentum, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what next year brings.
Yeah, and we know, Sea of Thieves has its March release date now, and
March 20th.
Yeah, it's
We know.
possible State of Decay comes out before E3 as well, and so
They had said spring, I believe.
yeah. So we'll see if that sticks. I'm expecting Crackdown to be in the fall. Same thing with Ori.
You think so? You think it's going to be pushed back that far?
Yeah, I totally do.
Huh. I mean, I guess because go ahead.
No, I didn't. So I'm just saying that I think the exciting thing is at E3, clearly they don't need to focus on the new hardware.
Right.
And you're going to have a couple of these big first party games that they've been talking about the last couple of years out the door. And so I think it's really exciting to see what else, what happens after, we're getting 2018, but then what happens beyond that? Like, are we going to get our tease of Halo 6? Or, are we going to is it too soon to see that third person action game that Playgrounds working on?
Well, you assume it's a Microsoft game. We don't know
I,
yet.
I don't actually. I assume it's an everything game, but we'll see who's trying to get that on their stage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Seeing them on a PlayStation stage would be very strange.
That would be odd, but yeah. So we talked about Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which we are now clarifying. We are assuming. We know what assuming does.
Oh, no.
We are assuming it's going to be a 2018 game. Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2. Marty, Sea of Thieves. You don't think Halo 6 will be 2018? The way you phrased that a minute ago?
I thought if it was going to be 2018, they would have shown something of it by now. So it's
Destin,
totally possible.
tell him he's wrong.
Totally possible the full reveal is at E3 with it coming out in fall.
Yeah.
So besides
6
E3
month press
in the
cycle.
summer, are there any events where they could potentially reveal this?
I mean-
XO18. I don't know.
Halo's big enough to create your own event.
Yeah.
Which is,
could.
I think Microsoft should do more of. I think
So,
it should be tune in live to this thing next week on a Tuesday morning, like the way Rockstar does, or the way Bungie, or the way Ubisoft's revealed, stuff like Far
that.
Cry and everything, or how Call of Duty was revealed. Halo's absolutely one of those, 10, 15 games that can merit its own event. Yeah.
I guess, let me take a quick informal survey. Does anyone else not think that Halo 6 will release in 2018?
Release.
Yeah.
Definitely announced. Release? I don't know, Ryan.
No?
Yeah.
Brandon?
I think reveal E3 release in late November.
Yeah, I mean, it's been
Potentially.
it'll be 3 years.
I mean, it kind of
that's
lines
so
up.
close.
That's
but
just how they do it, right?
Yeah.
It kind of lines up with Phil Spencer saying,
Yep.
we want short announcement cycles, which is contradictory to sort of Sony's approach, which is to show you this beautiful, awesome CGI trailer 2 years before the game comes out, and that hype
At least.
sort of that hype wave rolls you into the launch. Microsoft hasn't had that same luck. So I'm really, I would love to see a super short announcement release cycle, especially because they're coming off not having that big first party killer game in a while.
So here's why I think Halo 6 will be out in 2018 in the fall. Number one, as you guys have touched on, history suggests it will.
Right.
It's the third year. It'll be 3 years since Halo 5. Mainline Halo games have been every 3 years since forever. So that's number one. Number two, Phil's proclivity to, his tendency to want to not show things super early, which, I know we didn't. So we didn't get a Cloaked Dude in the Desert teaser this year, but I don't think that necessarily means the game's not coming out. And honestly, quite frankly, I think they are going to wait until they have a killer, very close to finished demo to unveil this to the world with, because I really think there is a lot riding on Halo 6 for the Halo universe. Multiplayer is obviously on lock. That it is one of the best shooters, one of the best multiplayer games in the world, and the support for it we've talked about a number of times. I don't think they get the recognition they deserve for how good their post-launch support has been.
Well, it's just assumed at this point, it's going to be good.
But the 5 story was so rough. We've talked about it ad nauseum. I think they've got to really have a demo that wows everybody whenever they decide to show it. Because I do think if the campaign in 6, the story in 6 has the problems that 5 had, then I really question where they go in the future with and what sort of damage it could have on the Halo brand. Even though, again, multiplayer is incredible, so I think it's going to be 2018, but it'll be a short we're going to see it when it's almost done, whether that's E3 or at their own event a little before, and then we're going to have a big launch, and hopefully we're going to get a great single-player Halo again.
Do you think that they would take something out of the 360 playbook, tinfoil hat time? They do Marty's reveal thing, and they're like, by the way, Crackdown 3 pre-order people, you get into the multiplayer beta if you buy that game.
Totally.
It pushes Crackdown 3 pre-orders. It pushes Halo, gets everybody on board. I think that would be smart. Yeah. And then they do an open beta afterwards, but you get 2 days early access if you get Crackdown, then everybody gets access. That'd be an awesome way to hype up Halo.
I don't think your hat's even tinfoil on that. I think it's just a regular baseball cap or whatever sort of headwear you prefer.
Strategy.
Just a normal
strategy headwear.
Maybe
I don't know.
Strategic headwear.
Yeah.
Maybe a newsboy hat.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe a fedora. I'm not sure what.
Wow,
that's not a fedora.
No fedoras. No,
it's a trilby.
Destin's not a. You don't think what kind of hat should Destin? You never wear hats.
Don't look good in hats.
It was like one of those Robin Hood hats. I think would be nice.
Take it. Yeah,
it's angular.
I was doing archery this weekend.
Well, there you go. Totally lost my train of thought. Whatever.
Well, what else?
Next
so,
topic.
I mean, I do think we'll see Halo. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get games announced that, of course, aren't out in 2018. I suspect maybe we'll get the Gears 5 trailer or teaser in 2018.
Gears Wars. I still want Gears Wars.
That strategy game, it lends itself perfectly. All the units are there. They're all there. It would be so good.
Yeah. And then I think we're going to get...
I want something new. I want something I haven't seen before yet.
Have Creative Assembly do it.
Yeah.
They know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's too early for... what is her name? Alan Wake and Quantum Break.
Oh,
Remedy. Yeah, whatever.
Your
Project
P7.
7.
You blanked on one of your favorite devs?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why
I have to think of a lot of devs.
Speaking extemporaneously here. There's no script.
Yeah, and then obviously, we're going to get the reveal of a new Tomb Raider. Maybe that's going to be aligned with Xbox, although I think they probably learned that wasn't a great idea for Tomb Raider as a whole last time. Just I feel like if it launched everywhere, it probably would have had a stronger push for Game of the Year nominations.
I voted for it.
Yeah.
I mean, Rise was a good game, though. Yeah.
Rise was a phenomenal game.
Game of the Year vote for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I'm excited. And obviously, I don't know, we're going to have Microsoft alignment with some big Ubisoft games, I'm sure, next week, like they had with Assassin's Creed this year.
Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
Splinter Cell. Make it happen. Splinter Cell. Anyway, Forza Horizon 4 is a fair bet as well. So
what if they go off script?
A fair bet to what if they do? That could be even better. What if they did that? I mean, topping 3 will be hard.
Sure.
If anybody can do it, Playground can do it. But if they wanted to veer off in another direction, take a fork in the road. Driving game pun here.
Yeah. I know you're really driving
Pull a
it home.
U-turn.
Yeah.
What?
They wanted to
No,
steer the franchise in a different direction.
All right. Well,
Well, it was 2017.
Do a 3-point turn and go.
We should be getting a Playground developed Forza game in 2018, and their track record is almost perfect.
right.
So, what?
Track record.
No, that's just stop it. Now it's not. Now you're just making it. Now you're just making a mountain out of a molehill.
Okay.
You're making a speed hump out of a speed bump.
There it is.
What
I got
is
you.
We're just going in circles on this
There are
one.
those ones in neighborhoods which are like sort of
work?
gentler.
Oh, yeah.
that,
NASCAR.
you can go a little faster over. Thanks, Dustin. All right, so yeah, there is the Xbox One family in 2017. We look forward to 2018. We'll be talking much more, of course. Hopefully, we won't get any studio cancellations or game cancellations.
Ouch.
Or studio closures.
The first week we get back.
No, that's not going to happen. They should counter that by the first week of the year announcing a new studio and a new game. Like,
Halo 4.
Bring balance to the
would
Halo
love
4.
that.
Also, just please don't cancel Crackdown the first week of the year.
No, don't cancel it.
I asked them, please do
I know.
not do that.
I didn't even think they would do that. Oh no.
So,
Yeah. What if they're going to cancel it? Don't cancel it.
yeah, really, I mean, a great,
Not that bad.
great hardware year for Microsoft in
Yeah.
2017. 2018 should be a great software year, and there it is. So, Destin, thank you so much as always.
Of course.
Where can we find you on the social medias, the wherevers?
Probably just on Twitter at Destin Legary. I do stream once in a while. The Destin channel, twitch.tv/Destin channel. So you can check me out there. Playing a lot of PUBG. Still play Destiny too.
Excellent, Brandon.
Same deal. I tweet
Same
sometimes.
stuff as his.
Yep. You can find me on the Destin channel. No, I'm on Twitter, Brandon Tyrell, just my name. I tweet occasionally.
3 times.
I'm going to follow you right away with that ringing endorsement.
It's fine. I'm the hard to get Twitter account. I don't really care.
Marty.
At Ted Cruz.
That's not accurate.
My father murdered
Mark
a bunch
Hamill-
of people during
Mark
the 70s.
Hamill hates you.
Mark Hamill hates me. God, Mark Hamill's burn on him in the porn was so good.
So good.
I also, God, I love the fact that these dudes, and Ajit Pai, the same thing, these dudes grew up loving Star Wars, and Luke Skywalker is just
Yeah.
trashing them on Twitter. I love it.
Also, of every weekend to pick a fight with Mark Hamill.
Great. I'm at Nick Biggity. Yeah, I retweet Mark Hamill now. Just love it.
Oh, man.
Smart.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at DMC_Ryan. I also host our monthly interview series, IGN Unfiltered, which Brandon was kind enough to plug earlier in the podcast. The December episode, who knows when you're seeing this, but the December episode is currently that's the new one, the current one. Mitch Gittleman, who was the studio head at FASA Studio back when that was one of Microsoft's premier studios in the Xbox 360 era. They did sort of most infamously the Shadowrun first-person shooter. We talk all about that. There's just a crazy story behind that, as well as Crimson Skies, High Road to Revenge, Mech Assault, and then some of the other stuff Mitch has worked on, which includes he's been sort of a co-pilot to Jordan Wiseman, the creator of Shadowrun, the creator of BattleTech for a long time. So his new studio, he's working on a new BattleTech game,
Very cool.
which is looking really good. So check that out on YouTube, IGN, or podcast services, and I hope you enjoy it. So Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you back here with the brand new, regular, good old Unlocked shows in starting that first week of 2018. Bye.